Our undercover source spent 2 years infiltrating extremist organizations, including the Sunrise Movement.
Sunrise Movement. Green New Deal revolution that's taking place.
We are building an army of young people to stop climate change.
A far-left organization radicalizing high school and middle school aged children for high-risk political action. The idea is to make it look like it's an organic grassroots movement of youth.
So we were able to accomplish it.
Yeah, definitely.
When in reality, there are adults behind it facilitating and creating it.
Some of the team that's working to help put this thing on in the higher levels of support, including trainings, partnerships, communications, logistics, and above all else, recruitment.
Right now, you guys are all taking the crash course, Green New Deal and the coronavirus, but these are all the other courses that we offer. We encourage you guys to sign up for it.
My involvement with the Sunrise Movement, going through the recruitment several times as different people, to go through their training for middle school and high school as a different person, and to come through as a different person at a very mid-level range, to where to them I'm many different people. They're connected with other activism groups through something called the Action Network. The Action Network is an organizing tool that allows them to do data mining and to have a mass data analysis of how to organize their movement.
They use Hollywood connections, DC insiders, celebrity status, and a media spotlight to attract young people to their organization.
Abby just graduated from high school. This summer, she is taking a gap year and working as a fellow for the Sunrise Movement.
Go, 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 go. We're a youth-led movement fighting to stop climate change and create millions of good jobs in the process.
These adults are training children the dark arts of political tactics.
These escalations, these actions can be really, really dangerous for a lot of folks.
Actions like burning buildings are legitimate and powerful forms of resistance.
High-risk political actions such as targeting triggering events, escalating police response towards arrest and violence, exploiting tragedies to push a political agenda. They teach how to capitalize on mass shootings, the pandemic, or natural disasters, and how to exploit them for political purposes.
Does anybody have an idea about what a trigger event is? Coronavirus. Yes. Somebody said mass shootings. That's a really good example. Trigger events are events that are creating opportunities for mass participation and polarization. There are ways to create trigger events, but there also be times when trigger events happen outside of our movement or outside of our hubs, like the coronavirus. And it's sort of the left's job and the movement for social justice, our job to connect the coronavirus to other issues of economic and racial justice, to bring as many people as possible into the fight.
Sunrise Movement Hub Guide to Digital Tools. These are documents that every hub is given to read and to understand, such as resistance training. Also, we have Swarmwise, the tactical manual to changing the world.
Think tanks and research institutes provide Green New Deal publications and education materials through organizations like Momentum, who provide training and logistics capabilities for many youth organizations with leftist causes. They provide manuals, coursework, and instruction offering various levels of training and involvement. On the surface, the Sunrise Movement is a group of peaceful young activists fighting for a Green New Deal. On a deeper level, they are a gateway to radicalization, teaching young activists how to exploit tragedy, including one's own victimization, for political gain. This starts with Green Team and Red Team training.
Amelia is going to text potential Red Team. 2 minors are going to get arrested. Their parents will be in DC. Our lawyer is down to support. 9 people on the Red Team. We might plug in some DC hub people. Let's keep teenagers on the front line. We should have a Green Team plan for people who can't get arrested. Here is the adult coordinating these kids. There's Abby from the planning, leading them on and pushing in. So here we see Green Team leaving. These are all the kids designated not to get arrested. In the back, who's remaining are kids who have been recruited to get arrested, pushing the law to the point where you're forced to be arrested, and then claim it is the government trying to silence you. And in these photographs, we see a clear distinction between green team and red team here. And we have Sunrise Movement flaunting and hugging around an arrest form, notice to arrested persons. Everyone on the red team, members of the red team, with their arrest forms.
One group, the green team, is trained for peaceful protesting. The other group, the red team, is trained for high-risk action. They even instruct these young children to put themselves on the front line so that the media can then spin it as police attacking and arresting children.
So I wasn't sure what the expectation was, say if there was a protest being held by the Sunrise Movement that escalated with police violence. If the expectation is to disperse and avoid any violent confrontation on our part, or if it's to stay and what happens, happens.
Yeah, I would say in instances of police violence, I guess it's sort of like a two-track thing. I know there's like, people talk about like a paradox of repression of like, if you can get like instances of like state violence or other like repression of protesters, it can like become like a major media event and get win a lot of active popular support. So I think if there are people, I'm down to like go through this for the sake of like exposing the cruelty of the police to the public.
This can be used to create the appearance that the government is oppressing their movement. We even have internal communications of one of the Sunrise Movement's organizers. She wrote concerned that this is child endangerment and that too many children are willing to get arrested.
If we are going to be working with young kids again, I would like to get more training on what's legal. Rose and I kept chatting about the action, and we're worried about child endangerment. More people than I expected wanted to get arrested. I feel like we did prepare people for escalation.
Is that really even shocking though, when considering the potential for things getting out of control, when you're teaching children that burning down buildings is a legitimate form of protest?
Actions like burning buildings are legitimate and powerful forms of resistance.
They organized around tactics for using COVID-19 as a trigger point to escalate political dissent.
Knowing that there are trigger events, should our hub maybe use this time to plan what type of action we would do if there was a trigger event?
I think honestly, I would look at working with your hub to think of trigger events you could create in your community, especially in response to coronavirus and coronavirus adjacent things.
How we can actually take action under Corona. With the Green New Deal, we know we need to have big, bold government programs come in. It's the same with this crisis. There needs to be bold government intervention. Right now, the government is not doing it. We also need to make sure that the government is seen as the solution.
This chaotic situation could be used to push more Green New Deal policies as the solution to any triggering event, getting closer to reaching a new normal, their longer-term political goal. Taking advantage of the George Floyd protests, the Sunrise Movement went forward with its pre-planned police abolition talking points.
We need to stop investing in what causes pain and punishment and start investing in what allows communities to thrive. Healthcare, education, jobs for all, affordable, clean housing, fresh air, and water. And steps to getting there look like defunding the police. America's police force serves to protect a system that is fundamentally racist.
While, on the other hand, Black Lives Matter went forward with their talking points and movements that the police are the bad guys, racially targeting African Americans.
Winning justice for Black lives will be a really long fight, and it can't end when the hashtag Black Lives Matter stops trending.
Then you could see where they met right there in the middle and offer the Green New Deal as their solution to racial issues in the United States.
We want to make sure that there's broad support for government intervention. With the Green New Deal, we know we need to have big, bold government programs come in. It's the same with this crisis. There needs to be bold government intervention.
They teach how to make content slanted in pushing their political agenda, rather than getting honest information out. This even instructs on how to hide their identity and use encryption to anonymize their content they make for social media. I mean, they're teaching these groups and these kids how to perpetuate fake news. You can't make this stuff up. Besides street tactics, the Sunrise Movement teaches how to capitalize on acts of indiscretion. When Bernie dropped out of the presidential race and Biden became the Democrat Party nominee, the Sunrise Movement was pretty upset. Shocking. But don't worry, because they had some tricks up their sleeve. The Sunrise Movement was left in an uncertain position about whether or not they will endorse Biden. A letter went out to everyone in the Sunrise Movement regarding their deputy communications director, Sophie Karasek's claim that Biden inappropriately touched her. They announced they wanted to have a group discussion as to how the movement should respond to Biden becoming the presidential nominee for the Democrat Party. So, they set up a Zoom chat on May 3rd. Here are some highlights.
Hi, I'm Sophie. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm currently in Brooklyn. And I'm going to be sharing a story, and I just want to give first a content warning for both sexual violence and suicide, and want to request that folks don't post publicly about this story.
Sophie Karasek is an activist and part of a documentary, The Hunting Ground, about bringing awareness to sexual assault on college campuses. In 2016, the documentary made it to the Oscars, where Karasek and others performed along with Lady Gaga to denounce sexual assault. Joe Biden made a special appearance showing solidarity with the performance.
I will intervene in situations when consent has not or cannot be given.
Sophie alleges that Biden wanted to meet with each of them afterwards.
After the performance, he wanted to meet with each of us. He put his forehead to mine, which completely took me aback. Like, I wondered for a split second if he was going to kiss me. And my friend took a photo of it, and it later went viral on the Washington Post website. He was supposed to be on my side, and I didn't allow myself to really feel the feelings about the situation until years later, after Me Too went viral.
My story is one that I was assaulted by a currently elected Democrat in local office.
Not looking good for the Democrats. That kind of sexual expose could really do some damage, especially coming from their own base. So, what's their solution?
And it's this amazing practice called Venn diagramming. And it's really helping me think in more of a both and mindset in this moment. What is unique about this kind of diagram is it lets us actually hold the intersections.
Venn diagrams. That's right.
Thank you, Sophie. Yeah, just like the whole Venn diagram, I felt really overcome with emotion, and I really appreciate you sharing your story.
It's to perform the mental gymnastics that, though Biden has a history of inappropriate contact ranging from groping to violent sexual assaults, they're still going to get behind Biden as a candidate for president. Because, you know, if the Democrats didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all. Let's hear what Sunrise leadership calls for.
Right now, what we're really trying to lean into is hearing feedback from folks in the movement, hearing about what people think is the most strategic thing for us to do, and we're really not like rushing into anything. We're going to keep pressuring Biden, and we have a lot of leverage right now on to do that.
Leverage?
We have a lot of leverage right now on Biden.
So if they can't get the candidate they want, they'll just extort them with accusations of sexual assault or inappropriate groping to make the candidate they ended up with do their bidding anyway. And look, hey, I don't even like Biden. He's a creepy groper, but these people are corrupt as hell. No wonder Sophie didn't want people to see this. Her accusation towards Biden is already in the public. She just didn't want you to see that she's actually using it as political ammunition for her own political ambitions. Is this how far training goes with the Sunrise Movement?
Publicly reckoning with the complexity of all of this in this time and really like being an opportunity and outlet to support young people through understanding this moment. We have a lot of leverage right now on Biden.
So what criminal activities does the Sunrise Movement not teach children? We've got burning down buildings.
Burning buildings are legitimate and powerful forms of resistance.
Extortion, blackmail.
Like, I wondered for a split second if he was going to kiss me. My friend took a photo of it.
We have a lot of leverage right now on Biden.
I was assaulted by a currently elected Democrat.
We have a lot of leverage right now.
So it shouldn't be a surprise that a few days later, after the Sunrise Movement wrote a special letter to the Biden campaign, they announced that the Sunrise Movement co-founder Varshini Prakash and Sunrise-endorsed Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez were both named to sit on Biden's task force on climate change if elected. That's one way to muscle your way into Biden's cabinet. I wonder what the Sunrise Movement would have done had Biden not made them a part of his campaign. See how it works? The Sunrise Movement teaching our children the dark arts of political tactics. This is not even common political tactics. This is like tactics of a brainwashing cult.
This is great. I love this Sunrise Movement. Not gonna lie, feels a little culty. Like, am I going to be midsummered? Honestly, about it, you know? Just get me out of here.
In our next video, we will dive into where these climate justice movements come from, who's behind them, and how they can be stopped. Maybe we should see if we can get a hold of some of these children's parents to ask them if they are aware that their children are being preyed upon by a crazy cult that is teaching them to engage in criminal activities. You can go to millennialmillie.com for more exclusive reports and content. Content that's too legit for YouTube. Sign up, become a member, and also share the links to get the content and the articles out. You can also go to Millie Weaver on Subscribestar to support me directly. You can also go to InfoWarsStore.com and make a purchase to help support my work.